My name's Charles Fernyhough, and my book's called Pieces of Light, The New Science of Memory, and I'm going to read a bit about interviewing my elderly grandmother about her memories. Fascinating as the family story is, I'm really here to listen to Martha's own memories. The fact that it is me, her grandson, asking the questions might open a particular path into that autobiography. One thing I've learned about remembering is that it is a social process. It happens in collaboration with other people. Her memories with me may not be the same as her memories with others. The reality of remembering is always contextual. Listening back to the recordings, I can see that my style is to focus on certain feelings and impressions. The sight of her father, Abraham, setting off to work at his bagel stall outside a fish and chip shop in Brick Lane. The waves of fear transformed to relief as the bombs dropped around her during the Blitz. I want to know what it was like to grow up in the Jewish East End under the shadow of Nazism. I want to know whether she was aware of the tailoring work her mother took in, whether she lay awake listening to the swish of the fabric and the whispered Yiddish conversations about money. I want to know what went through her mind as well as her body when she stood outside in the freezing cold of dawn, minding the bagel stall. In reconstructing her childhood with her, I don't just want to know the facts of what she did. I want to understand her motivations so that I can know who she was as a person and try to work out the younger Martha's relationship with the person she is now. Memory narrativizes us. It turns us into characters in a novel. It makes motives and context matter. What we remember is shaped by the people we were then. Not just what happened to us, but what kind of individuals we were, as well as by the people we are now. I think when you're writing about the science of human experience, you've got to try and get at that experience from the inside. So I was interested in memory, and that's partly about saying what goes on in the brain when we remember, but it's also about what that experience feels like to us. It seemed to me that a good way of doing that was to talk to people about their memories and hear what stories they had to tell. Memories of people around me, my grandmother, my children, but also my own memories, my own reminiscences about the past. And it's a huge topic in psychology, frighteningly big. So I had to focus in, I had to zoom in on a particular aspect of memory. And what I chose to write about was the kind of memory that we have for the events of our own lives, what we call autobiographical memory. The perfect way to approach that topic was to think about the stories that we tell ourselves. Memories are narratives, memories are stories that we tell about who we are, where we've been. I wanted to write a science book that read like a novel, while at the same time doing justice to the incredibly inventive and careful research that the scientists had done, but also bringing in insights from other disciplines, from the humanities, from the arts, from other writers, looking to see what people have said about memory over the centuries and trying to pull it together. We get memory very wrong. If you ask people how memory works, you often get this sort of view of memory as working like a video camera that takes a record of past events and files it away so that when you want to recall something, you pull down the DVD and set it playing. And certainly over the last 40 years or so, this consensus has grown up in memory science, that memory is reconstructive, it's not reproductive. We're all storytellers. We're all brilliant at doing it. We're constantly reshaping our pasts, telling the stories of our lives and reshaping them, incorporating new information and changing them as we get older. It's a huge honour to be shortlisted for the Royal Society Winton Prize. There's so much great science writing out there. I've tried to do science writing a bit differently because my interests are in the science of human experience, and that immediately opens up a different way of approaching the science and the experience. One of the things I was most keen to do with this book was to convey the science, this fascinating body of science that has grown up around autobiographical memory, and I suppose encourage people to enter into a new relationship with their memories, to stop thinking about memory as this fixed representation of the past, to see it more as a narrative reconstruction of the past, but then not to get upset about that, not to start thinking that they have to disregard their memories or treat them as suspect. That's not the message at all. It's about taking your memories in a new light, taking them with a pinch of salt in some cases, and learning to love them as fallible, fascinating constructions, narratives that we tell about our own pasts that are very revealing about who we are.